Hello, I'm Debra Pascali-Bonaro, founder and director of Orgasmic Birth and host of the Orgasmic Birth podcast. And I am here today with an amazing dear friend. And we are here in Bali, actually sitting in Ibu Robin Lim's amazing center here, Yayasan Bumi Sehat. And we are here teaching the Eat, Pray, Doula retreat. So coming to you with lots of wisdom. But for those that don't know Ibu Robin Lim, you're in for a major treat. She was CNN hero in 2011, right?
Long time
ago, but still a hero in all our hearts and minds for her incredible work, working in disaster zones, heading up birth centers here in Indonesia and the Philippines, offering her care and wisdom all over the world to midwives and doulas and inspiring us, especially in this time of climate change, how we can support families when they need it most, when disaster strikes. She also is a mother and a grandmother. How many grandchildren now?
We have 7 now.
And how many children?
8. Only 8.
Only 8, right? For those that are listening and expecting your first one, right? Thinking about all of that. But she also, her birth center that we're in is one of the sites, some of you following me know that I co-chair the International Childbirth Initiative, and your site is one of our models. The ICI was modeled off the great work that Robin and all her staff and all the midwives and everyone here do, really showing what can be done with heart and hands and amazing midwifery skill and wisdom. So it's really an honor today to have Robin here and also to share about her newest book. She has many books and she'll tell you all about them, but the newest book has just touched my heart deeply. Look at this. For those that can see us, it's the Yoni Owner's Manual. And so if you're following Orgasmic Birth, you know why this is so special to me. So welcome, Ibu Robin.
Thank you. And thank you, Debra, for writing the introduction for this book and being one of the inspirations. And I wanted to say that our model of care at Yayasan Bumi Sehat, Yayasan means nonprofit organization, and Bumi is the Earth Mother, and Sehat is healthy. So we're Healthy Earth Mother Foundation. And at all 6 of the community health and maternal child health centers, the birthing units, all 6 of them, we use doulas. We love doulas. And our midwifery skills are so important, and to practice them with love and compassion. But that doula piece is really important. I just don't have words. And because we're in Eat, Pray, Doula, we've just finished our preparation, our beginning doula course for getting everyone ready for their DONA certification, if that's the path that they're taking. We just finished that course, and it was such a deep dive into what we know works and what we know saves lives. You know, of course, good midwifery skills, you know, neonatal resuscitation and prevention and treatment of hemorrhage and all of those things to help mothers if they do face an emergency. That's really important. However, how do we prevent emergencies? And how do we uphold and facilitate not only a safe birth, but a birth that the mother and the baby and the family's memories are going to be intact? And this is so important.
Can you share for everyone a little bit, I practice a lot in the States, and many of you know that in the States we have very high cesarean rates. We also have a lot of inequities, and our Black, Brown, and Indigenous people have a much higher maternal and infant mortality. And our cesarean birth rate nationally is over 30%. So when I'm here, Robin, I call being here in birth heaven, because your outcomes are so incredible with your model of care. Can you just share for people that aren't familiar what the model is like here, a little bit about Yayasan Bumi Sehat and what you do?
Anyone who's familiar with ICI, just Google International Childbirth Initiative, please. and read those points. Those points are so, it's just sort of all outlined there. And the things that those of us that are grandmother birth keepers now, we have in our most loving, passionate way fought for human rights in reproductive health, for justice in reproductive health. We've fought for this for decades. And after decades, largely due to your commitment
and many others. It's all us together.
Many others, but also our dear Mary Kroger, who passed the baton to you when her life was over. And you have been able to somehow collaborate with the fathers of obstetrics, which are not the easiest people, but and we know that takes a special kind of grace and diplomacy that I don't have. Although I will say that our model of care here at Bumi Sehat is really extra special because we do collaborate. All of our midwives, and there's 16 of them here in Bali. There are 4 in our Aceh site, there are 4 in Lombok, there are 6 in Philippines, plus 3 in the 2 Philippine sites, and there's 3 more in the other site. In Papua, I think we have 9 midwives, including volunteers, yes. So all of the midwives not only collaborate with each other in that really it's a happy, family-friendly environment that helps the mothers feel like when they arrive, they just go, oh, now I can have my baby. Those midwives collaborate with each other. They collaborate with our OBGYNs that work with us. We have incredible, blessed people that, I'm sure that all over the world, midwives are wishing they could find doctors like the ones we have. Doctors that also love to collaborate with doulas, because we don't want an OBGYN to be frowning at our doulas, and we collaborate with doulas. So we collaborate with families, we collaborate, we make sure that we know what the mother's dreams and hopes and desires are, and we know her medical history. But then sometimes mothers do show up here without having had any prenatal care. I mean, we do serve the least, the last, and the lost in society here. And we care for them with the same care as the people that are wealthy and come here because this is the nicest birth center.
Right.
So, and you saw just from last year to this year, incredible, just little tweaks in that our birth rooms are so much more
cozy.
They were good before, but now they're cozier and they're more
Yeah.
loving, and there's just more oxytocin supportive environment. And that has to do with our doula Mahika and our doula Vika. And they work together to bring to our midwives choices to make the birth rooms even better for the moms. And those were pre-doula doulas.
Yes.
So,
and Mahika did a podcast too, so people can look back and hear Mahika's podcast.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one.
Oh, she did a beautiful podcast.
I'll definitely listen to it because she's one of my best friends.
So tell people a little bit, just some basics, because I want to dive into the Yoni Owner's Manual too. But what's your cesarean birth rate here?
So on any given month, there is somewhere between 1 and 5% rate of transport for cesarean birth, which is pretty good, I think.
Oh, it's phenomenal, right? It's what we wish it was all over the world. That's why this is such an incredible model that use technology when needed, but use love and care to support.
Well, then that's based on Bali Adat tradition. What we call it is Trihita Karana, which are the 3 pillars of how to live with this human life well. And one is humans' relationship with humans. So that's science. I mean, let's face it, the divine creator did not create cesarean birth, but humans did, and it can be a life-saving birth. Let's not call it surgery. Let's call it cesarean birth. And those of you that are listening, I want to say that if you've had a cesarean birth, or you've been a birth keeper who's had to facilitate a cesarean birth, that it wasn't what the mother had wanted, but it turned out to be what was needed in that time. Just be kind to yourself. I always thank the mothers out there that are cesarean mothers and cesarean grandmothers, because we've had that happen in our lives.
In our own family.
please know that you need to be thanked because it wasn't easy. And the postpartum challenges are very, very profound. All postpartum has its special challenges. And we'll talk about that a little bit in a bit. But I just want to say thank you to our cesarean birth mothers, because no one does touch in with their hearts and says thank you. And isn't it interesting that your daughter and my daughter had emergency cesareans?
Yes.
Like at the same time.
I know, really, really close to each other. And that's where we're blessed, right? To know that we have the technology when needed, and we know that in our own lives.
So that's humans' relationship with humans. It's one of the pillars of life. If you keep it well, you keep it clean, you keep it solid. And then the other one is humans' relationship with nature, which is Mother Earth and Father Time. So all Balinese people in their daily lives do attend to humans' relationship with humans. Like I once saw a foreigner spit on the ground, and my Balinese friend started crying. And I said, what happened? And she said, well, that man just spit on the Earth Mother. Oh, I was like, where do you spit?
Right.
And she goes, well, I go over to a certain place and like I look for like, maybe where the rubbish is or the sink, and then I say a little prayer before I spit. And I go, oh, that is so thoughtful and kind. But humans' relationship with nature, it's very important. And it's one of the three pillars of how to live life well and in happiness and in harmony. The other one is humans' relationship with the divine creator. Whatever makes a mother in childbirth feel safe, we have probably about 20% of our moms that come here are Muslim moms. And so we have prayer rugs here, and we make space for them to practice their religion safely and proudly. We have a lot of Hindu moms here. We have a lot of Christian moms. And so we always try to sing the song of the family's faith when the baby's crowning. So no one is yelling 4-letter words, push, at the mother here.
Good.
But we are singing, like for Hindu moms, Om Bhurvah Swaha Tat Saviturvarenyam. And all of our midwives only know one Christian song, so they all sing Amazing Grace, and they sing it quite well, but we have a lot of baby girls that are Christian named Grace here, which is great. And then Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Allah Akbar. So we're just today, happy Eid al-Fitr. Today is the end of the fasting month of Ramadan, and it's a special day where we really pray for peace on earth. But we also make space for all of those mothers, whatever their faith is, to feel safe. And so we have mothers from all over the world giving birth here as well. So very special. And I feel like if we could just all of us think about those three pillars: humans' relationship with the divine, humans' relationship with humans, and humans' relationship with nature. And those are, however in your own life it looks, write a little note to yourself. Hold on, we have a mom in labor, they might be calling me. Decided not to call me. Okay.
But it's nice to know someone's laboring in a room nearby.
And they know that they can pull me out of this. Sorry, Debra.
Yeah, that's okay.
You don't
No,
mind.
I don't mind at all, right? We all know when the baby's ready to come, we're happy you're here for them. So I'm going to ask you to share, Robin's has many books, and we'll tell you about all of them in a little bit, but her latest book, The Yoni Owner's Manual. What inspired you to write this? Tell us about this.
Well, my mother's from the Philippines, and she is a very beautiful 92-year-old woman now, and she's very proper. And about just before pandemic, she was with my daughter, who's her best friend, my first daughter, and mother of my first grandchild. And she says to my daughter, Deja, no matter what you do, don't tell any of my friends that your mother wrote a book about placentas. I'm so embarrassed. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And
I love her placenta book, by the way, everyone.
Yeah. You can find it on my website, iburobin.com. And I happened to be passing by and I overheard it. And I said, Mom, well, just for that, first of all, I'm thinking, gosh, she's in her late 80s at that point. She's 92 years old now. But I'm thinking, well, all of your friends have already died, but she's really healthy.
She's very healthy. She's so beautiful.
Yeah, well, we live with 4 generations. And when her blood pressure goes up a little, we just have one of my grandchildren, her great-grandchildren, hug her, and we take her blood pressure again, and it's normal. It's amazing. Yeah, I really want to do a book. I feel like I shall, on elder care and how we can all uplift all of our lives, all generations, by really caring for our elders. Something I really learned from living in Bali for 33 years. And so I said to my mother, oh my goodness, just for that, I'm going to write a book about vaginas. And she said, you wouldn't. And I said, yeah, I'm gonna. And then she said, anyway, why are you eavesdropping on me and my best friend, her granddaughter? My daughter's name is Deja Crescentia. My mother's name is Crescentia. So she's her namesake. And she says, I didn't invite you to this conversation. Go mind your own business. And so later on that day, my daughter's in the kitchen with me and we're making pesto. And she says, Mom, you said you were going to write a book about vaginas. And I said, yeah, I did. And she said, well, now you need to do it. And she said, the yoni is something that we all need to we need to be thinking about it and honoring it and pleasuring this yoni because it's so important. And my daughter with so much passion, my adult daughter was saying, you've got to write this book now and I'm going to hold you to it. And so, ta-da.
And for people who don't know, because not everyone hears yoni, what does yoni mean?
So yoni is the Sanskrit word for the vulva, the vagina, the whole thing, the whole incredible matrix. I will say that as a midwife and who after 20 years of being a midwife studied with Debra to become a doula, as a midwife and a doula, I am floored, like crawling on my belly in tears of humble pride that I was born with a yoni and what our whole, our uterus, our fallopian tubes, our whole matrix of our reproductive health organs and our breasts, what they can do. I mean, we take a seed from a guy and an egg from ourselves, and we put them together in this beautiful place that everybody suck on your finger for a second. That's what the baby feels. That's the inside of your yoni. Yeah. That's the temperature, warm, wet, perfectly balanced. And we put the seeds for humans inside this beautiful environment and we grow a whole person. We grow a whole person. The miracle of that, I just don't have words for. And so I try to put a few words to it. And we live in times when everybody's questioning all of these things.
Yes.
It's
And not everybody is even in touch. If you have a yoni, not everybody is really in touch with it and celebrating it in the way that you guide us so beautifully to do. And I know I want to take you too, because this book is a must read. I feel like if you're a yoni owner, and even if you're not, if you're a partner of a yoni owner, this is for you too, because you want to celebrate yonis as well.
One of my friends from childhood bought 15 copies for his daughter-in-law. He didn't have any daughters himself. His daughter-in-law, he dedicated one to his granddaughter, who's still a little girl, for when she has her first moon. He wants her to have it. But the
That's
minute
beautiful.
they came out, and every woman he knows, he's passing them out to.
Oh, that's so touching.
Yeah, he's retired now, but he went to his office and gave all the women working there. He's so excited about it.
Are you curious about enhancing pleasure and easing discomfort in labor? Orgasmic Birth and Dame present the Pleasure Vibe Fin, a waterproof vibrator designed to empower your journey through pregnancy, birth, and beyond. Boost your oxytocin, ease discomfort naturally, and transform your birth into an empowered and even orgasmic experience. Plus, support postpartum healing and reconnect with your body. Are you ready to embrace the power of pleasure? Click below, learn more, and start your transformation today.
So,
Well, It's so important. And what I love that you start with, and maybe you can just give us kind of an overview, is kind of looking around the world that, this celebration of Yoni is not new. You didn't create it. There's a whole her story or history of it. So did anything surprise you, or how did you gather this historical look?
Well, I just started, once my mother and my daughter, once the Crescentias planted seeds in me to write the book, it's not long after that, we all went onto the stormy sea called COVID, meltdown, shutdown. And hard to remember how that felt, but so a lot of our teaching went online, and our medical facility here was busier than ever while everybody else was unemployed. And, it was very profound for every one of you out there. We were all on a stormy sea together, but in our separate boats. So the isolation was incredible. But during that time, I took a deep dive into female sexuality, and as an older woman who always felt like I was really well adjusted sexually, and really enjoyed my own pleasure as a human being walking on this earth, I was surprised at how little I knew. And I really started reading everything I could get a hold of, and I found out that, like, female sexuality, our yonis are depicted in art all over the world. I think probably my favorite is the Shilana gig. Where is she? Oh my goodness, what page is she on? Oh,
and beautiful artwork throughout the book.
This is an artist that I love. She's here in Bali, and Chitra. She has done an amazing job illustrating our book. And then a young artist who helped with illustrations too. I started to really look into, I had been studying for years what the different kinds of yonis that women have, what they might mean.
Oh, this is another part I love too, right? Because all our yonis are unique, and you help us identify with different types of yonis and what those characteristics are.
How are they expressed? How are they expressed? That's a maiden yoni.
So if you're listening, you might at another time jump over to YouTube, because Robin is showing right now some of these beautiful images.
Yeah, the crone yoni. And different, and I have noticed, because here's a wise woman yoni.
Oh, these are so beautiful.
And then there's where's Gaia? A wise woman, and then
there's Gaia.
And how women, even women who had a baby 14 years ago, when they come back, and I don't always remember all of them, and I never see their yonis in between, but then when they open their bodies up to give birth, it'll be like, oh, wow, her yoni basically is the same, and my yoni is basically, it's changed a little over time, but it's basically the same. And then women reading this book are writing me notes on the WhatsApp and on email and on my website saying, oh my goodness, I didn't realize what kind of yoni I had, but everything you said about the elements and my totem animals, it's bang on for me.
Yeah.
And then one woman said, well, no, that's not, she was looking in the mirror, and then her husband said, oh, but, and he pointed out that what she was expressing to him was exactly what I had noticed, having been at a lot of births.
A lot.
I've lost count, but
yeah,
Bumi Sehat's done over 16,000.
16,000?
Mm-hmm. And
wow.
I've been at maybe 2/3 or more of those. So, yeah.
A lot of births.
So
a lot of yonis.
A lot of yonis. I don't think there's any man that's seen a yoni. Where's the Shalana? I can't remember what page she's on. But for example, in Western tradition, they painted over the Shilana gigs. They tried to hide them from history, erase them from history. That was really, the more I read about, I've always loved Shilana gigs, but the more I read about them, the more I am blown away.
Yeah, and they're from Ireland, right? And a few other...
So all Celtic traditions.
Yeah, all Celtic.
had shenanigans. One of my favorite ones.
I
is
went to Ireland and went on a quest because a lot of times they're just a kind of small tile, and many times they're above the archway entrance to what now is a church, right? And the church kept that there. So it's like hidden in plain view, I like to say, because they're really all over Ireland. There are quite a few that are still existing. This beautiful celebration of the Yoni and fertility,
and they actually plastered over them.
which is sad.
This is really
But
sad.
some are still very visible.
Some are visible. Ancient India has a lot of yoni art, and of course in Bali we have a lot.
Yes.
We really do. Just the clitoris. My gosh.
Right.
I think of it as your personal dragon. We all have this personal dragon. Oh, here's the.
There it is.
There she is. The shenanigan. Whoops.
Yeah, there you go.
There. Look at this one with the sacred geometry symbols all around her.
Yes.
Yes.
And really opening her yoni, right?
Yes.
She's like got her hands there if you're listening, and she's opening her yoni kind of to the world in celebration. And
Yeah, it's just something that I love so much.
And this is so important for people that might be pregnant or thinking about conceiving, because really being in touch with your yoni is so important. We did a podcast, and you can look back. Dr. Aviva Ram told a beautiful story of someone who was in labor and the labor wasn't progressing. And we know so often this can be emotional, right? What's going through your mind? That beautiful question that my mentor, Penny Simkin, always taught us to ask. And when she checked in, she said she really was embarrassed to open her legs to give birth. And she didn't want people to kind of see her yoni. And so I'm not quoting it exact, but Aviva basically said, have you looked at how beautiful you are? And she said, I've never looked down there. So she sent her into her bedroom with a mirror and said, really look, because your yoni is beautiful. And this woman looked and cried and realized how beautiful her yoni was, and came out ready to give birth, and with much more pride and joy to open her legs and let her baby into the world. So that story for me, like, how many people haven't looked at your yoni? I wish we could see all of you listening or watching, and how important this celebration is. Your book is educating people, and so many people have never considered the education. You don't know what you don't know till you read your beautiful book and understand.
And I try to make that fun. Sometimes education is so pedantic, but it should be really fun. And I call the clitoris our personal dragon. There's a beautiful graphic there.
I love
by
that
our
picture.
artist, Chitra. And I love it. Yes, she's bowing to her personal dragon. But I just want everyone to know that in the 1947 edition of Gray's Anatomy, Dr. Charles Mayo Gross erased the clitoris. Yeah. And it wasn't until 1998 when we really understood that the clitoris wasn't just the part that, on some women you can see the little clitoral, the hood, and the little clitoris a little bit behind the hood, right there. And it's actually a whole matrix of beautiful, and like the penis, it becomes engorged with arousal. And it also becomes engorged at birth. And I remember somebody saying, oh yeah, the clitoris is the only organ that's just dedicated to pleasure. But I have to say, it's even more than that. I mean, yes, it's dedicated to pleasure, but during childbirth, the woman's clitoris swells, and so the baby's head is coming down through the birth canal and is not just pounding on the pelvic floor. The baby's head has this clitoral pillow, which is, how we need to start questioning induction and things like that, and how much trauma there is for the mother and the baby, which we have huge induction rate. I was shocked last week, country to country. It was pretty much over 30% throughout the world of births being induced. And again, if your birth was induced, your baby's birth was induced, be kind to yourself. The next time, let's do it a little bit, give it a little more patience, a little more, give our bodies a little more credit for the dance that they're doing with the baby, the hormonal, beautiful, I don't know what you call that, hormonal cocktail dance that happens, and it doesn't all happen in 1 minute or in 1 day even. It happens over time, and it starts when we're in our mother's wombs. And it starts before that because all of us, when we were developing inside of our mother's wombs, we had the oocytes growing inside of us. Women, girl babies have their oocytes already growing, so their children are already inside of them when they are inside of their mother.
Yeah.
Which means you were inside of your mother and your grandmother.
And my grandmother.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is just, again,
It's amazing, right, to think of it that way. That intergenerational connection that we all have.
woman to woman.
Woman to
And
woman.
how much women need women. You know, it's for me something so important. But just know that in 1998 it became a scientific fact that was pretty much
Erased
no one-
prior.
Yeah, and nobody knew it, that we have this, you know.
It's
kind of
still not
amazing-
in all
No, it's
all
not.
medical text. The clitoris is trying, many of us are trying to get it added back in, but many medical texts are not considering the role of the clitoris in life, and certainly not in childbirth. And then you have, what other aspects of the book do you want to share for
Well,
people?
I really got into my Yoni heroines. I feel like, you know, that each of us has people in our lives that has been a hero to us, that women in our lives that was an auntie, or, you know, my Auntie Josephine used to brush my hair, and I think she made my scalp bleed, but she taught me so much during that time. She really, you know, she taught me a lot about self-esteem, and as I'd run away from her, trying not to, you know, I would prefer my Auntie Ramy, who was so gentle to brush my hair. But my Auntie Josephine taught me to be a badass. Yeah. And Jenny Joseph, here she is. She's traveling right now to Bali. She's an amazing woman. Ibu Goma, I mean, some of Ibu Dewa Rutini, who's now left the body. She was an incredible midwife here in Bali. Some of our Mary Kroger,
Mary Kroger.
Mary Kroger, beautiful Mary Kroger midwife, who was the bridge between all kinds of midwifery education. Janine Parvati, who she was the first person to write prenatal yoga.
Yes.
She was the first person to do a woman's herbal. She was the first person to get her PhD in perinatal education.
And she talked about orgasmic birth.
She did.
She very much had a beautiful quote
And she
about
taught me
it.
so much about delayed umbilical cord clamping and cutting, to the point where she inspired me to keep going. She really pushed me when I was a younger student midwife, and when I was eventually midwife, to write the book about placenta and to really make that my life passion. Delay. And here's my grandmother, Vicenta Munar Lim, in the Philippines. Beautiful.
So it's
Sold
so
into marriage at age 13.
wow.
Yeah.
So she has so many amazing Yoni heroines, right? Whose story will just, not only did they inspire Ibu Robin, but they're going to touch you and encourage you to think of who are those Yoni heroines in your life.
Debra Pascali Bonaro.
Oh,
She is Debra. There's so many. And who are the Yoni heroines in your life? Who are the women who walked with you?
yes.
Who held your hand? Who carried you when you were down? I mean,
Yeah, many, and inspired us. So for everyone listening, if you had to give one tip about kind of the Yoni, if you were pregnant and approaching birth, what would you say to them?
well, definitely make friends with her. Make friends with her. I know that some women find that the key to getting out of their frontal lobe, I can tell you that the last thing you need when you're in childbirth is your frontal lobe. No stinking thinking.
I like that, no stinking thinking.
Now, what I say to my kids, stinking thinking leads to drinking.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have moms in preparing for childbirth, they'll say, and what about this? And what about this? And should I be saving my colostrum, because I tried to pump my breasts and save my colostrum and I couldn't get any out, so I don't think I'm going to be able to breastfeed. And they're crying, and I'm like, okay, you're 36 weeks pregnant. Do you really need that additional worry and concern that engages your frontal lobe? Let your baby do that. Let your baby bring your colostrum in, and sure enough, the baby,
It does.
abundantly brings in colostrum with the mother's body. So, and I'm not criticizing you if you want to freeze your colostrum a little bit. For some mamas that really makes them feel good and it helps them, but for others it can become just a concern that they don't need.
Yeah.
But so, get out of your frontal lobe, which often the fastest way to get out of your frontal lobe is to get into your clitoris. Go for it. I love it when a mom is invited by any one of our midwives when her baby's starting to crown and she's just like, and oftentimes the mom will say, in fact, usually the mom will say, I can't do it anymore. We'll say, reach down and touch yourself. And she reaches down and touches her yoni and then feels the baby's head is right there. And we'll linger that moment on her clitoris, on the clitoral hood, because her whole clitoris is the whole thing.
Right.
And she'll say, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. This is me. This is me doing it. And we were just smiling, enjoying her strength and her. But I do honestly believe that women have the power to transform this world. We are living in a time when change is apparent and needed, and we're in this change. The climate is changing drastically. The people's hearts and minds and society is changing. Governments are changing. Mountains are moving. But if we really want to save our world and bring peace and prosperity and harmony, I feel like we need to go the mother's way, away from this male dominant model, which God bless the men in our lives, but it's not working, guys. So move over a bit and let's save the world one orgasm at a time, women. Let's do it.
I love that. One orgasm at a time. What a beautiful, beautiful saying to bring kind of peace to ourselves and our community and our world. So Robin, I know everyone that's listening is saying, okay, how can they get the Yoni Owner's Manual and some of your other books and other offerings? So can you tell us a little bit about where to go and what else you
Yoni
have?
Owner's Manual, my daughter Lakota was able to finally get my Owner's Manual is up on Amazon. So you can get it that way. It's also on Kindle. Other books, you can also, Placenta book will soon be up there.
Really?
It will soon be.
The Placenta, the Forgotten Chakra, I think is a must read for anyone that's giving birth. Honestly, both books, but I love the Placenta, the Forgotten Chakra. What a gift.
So that one is on my website by PDF, but we're going to do print on demand on Amazon.
Fantastic.
And probably Ingram. And we're trying to find sort of more conscious book vendors out there. And from the perspective of living in Southeast Asia, I've been in Indonesia and back and forth to the Philippines for over 30 years. Some of the first world problems are really something to think about and feel in our hearts. And honestly, we pray for you. I mean, for those of you listening from North America, the United States is a country where guns have more rights than women and children. Yeah. And the fact that we have not, and I hope 35,000 people don't leave your podcast, but I will say this, the fact that the gun laws have not caught up to what mothers and women know are needed to protect children, I mean, there's just again and again and again, the same tragedies happen. And when I read that the leading cause of child death in the United States is guns, which to me makes me question, does that mean that Americans love their guns more than their children? It's a big question. And we know that that's not true for women.
Right.
So it is really time for our brothers to move over a bit and let us govern from our hearts and from our passion,
Yes.
like one orgasm at a time, one female orgasm at a time.
Yes. and grandmother's wisdom.
And
Talk about
Bali, A Cajun Paradise is a collection of short stories about the courage of women. They are actually true stories.
Yeah.
Names have been changed to protect everybody, but the women in this book all have given me permission to share their stories. And I feel like overall what they said to me was that give me a voice. Give me a voice. And so this is available on my website by PDF, and soon we will get it up on Amazon for you. It is available on Kindle already, so you can get it on Kindle.
And say your website again for everyone.
IbuRobin.com. IBUROBIN.com.
Yeah. So please, I hope all of you will take a look over at IbuRobin.com.
Oh, and this one.
Oh, yeah.
This is a free download on my website, IbuRobin.com. It's in English and Indonesian. It will soon be in, Mahika's putting it up in Russian. It is in Dutch, but it hasn't been put up there yet. We will get it up. Being put into Italian and Spanish.
Fantastic.
So it's just a beautiful little free book that Debra, the Eat, Pray, Doula course really inspired me to do this, because when we taught the postpartum Eat, Pray, Doula online during COVID.
Yes.
We really did a deep dive into the spectrum of postpartum moods and what that could mean. And this book, it's more for families than for mothers. I mean, mothers are going to love it, and it's free, so you can have it. But families need to see this book somewhere sitting around, just so that, because a mom who's really needs help usually is not able to say, I need help.
Correct.
And if she says I need help, she might not be heard.
Yes.
So this is for people who have new mothers in their lives or about to have new mothers in their lives. Please.
Download it. It's New Mother, I love you. So a great parting gift. And I thank you so much for joining us today. I love you too. And for everyone that wants to come join us in Bali, our registration is open for Eat, Pray, Doula 2026. We'd love to have you come either to become a doula, or if you're already a practicing birth keeper, we have an advanced retreat as well. But I hope that I'll hear from many of you that you've purchased the Yoni Owner's Manual, and hopefully the Placenta, the Forgotten Chakra, and some of Robin's other beautiful books on her website, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. So thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
We love you.
Love you.
I love you.